they must be a very, very unhappy person. Like, you can't be happy doing that. If you're a positive person, if you're upbeat, if you're focused, if you've got ambition and you've got goals, no way on earth would you even, I don't even have that ounce in my bones and in my body to do that. So it's just about understanding that when someone even mentions just even a brief comment, they're deep down, they're unhappy. They're an unhappy person, they're insecure, and they're not confident. And what they're saying is that I can't see myself doing that, or I don't, that people love to give their opinion. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody is doing well and appreciate all of the support, all of the comments, especially on my recent videos. It does not go unnoticed. And again, I'm excited for this episode, and it's something that I want to address because from time to time I get a lot of questions about this, and I thought, you know what, this would be a good way to, it's kind of a broad topic, isn't it? You know, lots of people experience, you know, negativity, hate. How do I deal with it? They think, oh, the haters, and they put a lot of energy into it, and I want to give you some tips of how I've personally dealt with it from my experience and what I see going on in the society and the kind of social media world of it, with a few examples that I think you can all resonate with it. I think it's really important that we come from a position of perspective, and what's kind of prompted this is two things really. From time to time, what I'll do is I'll get a message from people that I help, and they will let me know that, you know, hey Mark, you know, I just wanted to apologize, and it will always start with something like this. I just wanted to apologize, and I kind of won't even know what's going on because it's not really on my radar and my attention. And they will apologize for something they've said about me, or they'll realize, right, that after self-reflection, they'll realize, oh, hold on a minute, why was I kind of reflecting my fears on somebody else that only wants the best for me, that only actually has tried to help me all this time? So I understand it from that perspective. So it kind of prompted it as I got a message recently a little bit more detailed than that. And Gary Vee talks about it a lot. Gary Vee I look up to him as a mentor a lot, and what I really like about what he does, and I really like from the perspective of how he approaches things from a position of empathy, right? Because he really understands where someone is coming from. So think of it like this. If someone is throwing kind of shade or hate towards you, all they're really saying is they're reflecting their fears on you. That's what you need to understand. You've got to come from a perspective of that, because if you address the psychology, if you understand the psychology of this, imagine, for example, that, I don't know, you're into music, you've got a YouTube channel on music, and the music industry can be really, really poisonous at times when, you know, people comment all kinds of stuff like, I don't like her voice, I don't like his voice, I don't think he's a good singer, I don't think that she should do that. All this kind of, oh, she'll never make it, he'll never make it. I've seen it all, and someone that I'm really interested in music myself and a musician. But in that sense, I've seen that a lot. But what you've got to understand is it's just someone projecting their fears on you. So rather than retaliating, you need to come from a position of understanding. The psychology of actually getting their phone out, writing a paragraph, a hateful comment, they must be a very, very unhappy person. Like, you can't be happy doing that. If you're a positive person, if you're upbeat, if you're focused, if you've got ambition and you've got goals, no way on earth would you even, I don't even have that ounce in my bones and in my body to do that. So it's just about understanding that when someone even mentions just even a brief comment, they're deep down, they're unhappy. They're an unhappy person, they're insecure, and they're not confident. And what they're saying is that I can't see myself doing that, or I don't, that people love to give their opinion. That's what you've got to understand, that when you put yourself out there, when you're in a position, especially if you're in the music industry, for example, and you're putting songs out on a regular basis, you've got to understand that you've got to manage your expectations. What do you expect? You know, you cannot expect to please everyone. If you're a country singer and you've got somebody coming on that only likes classical and they leave a hateful comment, then does that really matter? You need to value your opinion above anybody else's. And that's not in a sense of arrogance, it's actually for your own mental health. You need to value your opinion more than anybody else's. And it's really important because it's not easy. And I'm not to say that, I'm not here to come to you and say that, look, I find it easy all the time, because that would be a lie. It's more from, I want to be honest with you, that it's building blocks. You've got to learn to deal with it. It takes time, you've got to build strength. But the best practical way is to come from a position of understanding and perspective and empathy. And I really believe that. And I think that the comment that got prompted to me was like, hey Mark, I just want to apologize to you. I've been saying a lot of negative stuff about you recently, and upon reflection I realized that it was actually all on me, and all I was doing, I was inflicting my insecurities on you because I didn't get much success with the strategy. And it takes a lot, firstly, and I get messages like this all the time, but it takes a lot of guts to kind of come out and say that and just message me and let me know that. So firstly, I really, really respect that. And the self-awareness, what I'm more happy about is that the message is the message, I appreciate it, but it's more so, what I'm really happy about is that the message went into a lot of detail, I won't go too much into it, but it's the self-awareness to realize, hold on a minute, all I was doing was inflicting my fears on the individual that actually all he's ever done is try to help me and go above and beyond. So you got to understand that people are always going to do that in your life. And for me, I respect someone that has the guts to do that, and actually has more so, I'm more happy about the self-awareness, because that to me is amazing, because that person sat there and thought, hold on a minute, it's me. Because that person's learned to take full ownership that, well, hold on a minute, it's all on me. Take full ownership of your life. It's like saying that, all right, this tennis racket doesn't work. Well, why is it that someone can go out on the court and use that tennis racket and hit a 90 miles an hour serve? How? It's the same racket. They've got the same resources, the same thing as you. So it tends to be that it's the individual, but when they can be self-aware enough to realize that, right, it's my fault, it's my responsibility, and I need to take full ownership. They've grown so much as an individual and as a person. I've grown so much as an individual and as a person. So seeing that's really, really important. So I wanted to address that for those of you that are getting hate, or you've dealt with negative comments from friends, from spouses, family, everything like that. You've got to realize what position are they coming from, where are they in their life, and I can almost guarantee they're unhappy, they're insecure, they don't feel good about themselves, so it's just a natural thing to come out with negativity, because they can't see, if they can't see themselves doing it, they can't see you doing it. That's what you've got to understand. So don't take these things personally, just understand that that person's unhappy and they're not in a good headspace. And if you can have empathy for that, you'll realize that that doesn't define you. If you've got to think of it like this, if everybody's comments was to define you, you would always be something different every single time. Because on one hand, someone would say something, oh, I think you're a terrible singer. Okay, I think you're a great singer. Well, which one's right, which one's wrong? You know, if you always take the opinion of others, it doesn't define you, it defines them. So when someone's leaving things of negativity towards you, it only defines who they are as an individual, not yourself. So if anybody that is struggling with that, because I think what people that do these kind of comments don't actually realize, we have to have more empathy for the people that are leaving the negativity, because they're the ones in the worst headspace. But at the same time, we also have to have the understanding to people that are, if you are that individual, that you actually feel the need to go out and try and make someone's day really bad, or leave reviews and do these kind of things, comment on people's YouTube channels. If you are that type of person, you've got to understand what you might be doing to someone who is not mentally strong. What if someone that can't deal with that and then you're doing it? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about what you could do to their mental health? Of someone that's putting themselves out there on YouTube, that I go to singing a lot because I see it in the music industry a lot, that person's putting, they could be 14, 15 years old doing songs. Have you ever thought about, when you're doing that, what they could think about, the psychological things and the damage that could do to them? So you've got to understand, you have a sense of responsibility. Your opinion is your opinion, but you know, if you haven't got anything nice to say, don't say it all. So you've got to understand that your opinion of people, you've got to think about them as well, and have the self-awareness to realize, where are you coming from? Are you just inflicting your fears? So I like to see both sides to it, and I think it's really important. To the position that, and this is laughable, to the position that I, even from my own experience, I've had situations where, well, two I'll tell you. So when I had my McLaren, right, supercar, as you can imagine, young person driving a McLaren, not too many people are going to be happy about that. So when you're pulling up to a junction and you're trying to get in, and people let you in, right, like clockwork, people would purposely not make eye contact and then not let me in, and you know, shout things out the window, all kind of stuff. I won't go into that part of it, and you realise that person doesn't know me, they've never even met me. So how on earth would that define me? It's a fear they're trying to project onto you, and you've got to understand where they come from. To the point that I would have people tell me, Mark, you've changed my life, right? Mark, you've changed my life. Look at what I've done. A week later, they attack me. Like, think about where that person is, the volatility in that person's headspace to go from, I'm grateful, you've changed my life, look at what I've done, to, I I don't like you, da da da, and just confirmation bias. You've got to remember, in life, what people tend to do is that confirmation bias is something like this. Say, for example, you decide you don't like Donald Trump. What are you then going to go and do? You're going to find articles, you're going to find things that person said, and you're going to find everything that you can to be congruent with that agenda of you not liking Donald Trump. So you've already decided, and now you just need to find things that fit that agenda. It's a little bit like that with negativity. They decide, right, I don't like that individual. Well, if you search hard enough, you'll find something that you don't like, and you'll just connect the dots that you've already decided in the first place. It's confirmation bias in that sense. So you've got to think about it from that perspective. But the way I like to look at it is, you've got to take things with a pinch of salt. I love you, I hate you the next day. That person is not in a secure headspace to do that. So you've got to understand that if you are, I saw something recently, I think it was in the makeup industry, right? I'm addressing these things because you've got to see the both sides to it. The bullying side of it, right? That these people, they do need empathy because they're in a very bad headspace. And the other side of it, that if you are the instigator doing that, then the psychological damage that it does to other people on the other side. Think about that before you do that. If that person is not mentally strong, I've built my mindset for years and years and years, so I'm mentally tough to be able to deal with it. But I see the other side of it, of people getting shade in like the makeup industry, in the music industry, in the Forex industry, it's everywhere. But with the makeup industry, I think it was, I can't remember the name of the girl, I think it was a famous makeup artist, and she was doing regular tutorials on YouTube. And I think at one point she posted a video or a photo when she was not wearing makeup. And a lot of people would then put hate towards her, say like, you've got spots, your skin's not clear, like all these kind of like horrible, nasty things. And then she had the strength to then post that on her Instagram and then post that out. And then she realized, well, hold on a minute, this is just makeup, this is what I do, but that doesn't define me because of that. But do you have to understand that that person was able to deal with that? But if somebody else that lets maybe someone who's not that secure to deal with that hate and that comments, you don't know what that psychologically does to the individual. So I encourage you to think about that and have the self-awareness enough to realize that hate comes in all shapes or forms. It can come from your family, sometimes even people that are not happy for you. It can be your own partner. You've got to understand that as well. You think about the amount of people that, for example, let's say you're a guy and that your partner starts to get in better shape. You can see that partner getting in better shape and looking really incredible. You could have insecurities that you think, well, you try to drag them down because you think, well, I don't want that. I don't want my partner to get in ridiculously good shape, because what if she becomes more attractive and then other people start to compliment her? What if she leaves me? So again, it's an insecurity of yourself, and then vice versa for the girl and the guy. So you've got to understand this comes in all shapes and forms. But when you understand that hate is always wrong, negativity is always wrong, it's not the answer. And if you can be self-aware enough to realize that I can take full ownership of my life, I am in control of the decisions that I make. And when people make comments to you, that doesn't define you, that defines them and their insecurities and the weak mind that they're in right now. When they can grow, it's not your responsibility to retaliate. It's not your responsibility to educate them on what headspace they need to be in. They've got to figure that out for themselves, which is why I personally get comments every so often, every month or so. I'll get another message of, Mark, I just want to apologize. You've done so much for me, you've changed my life. I don't take it personally because I understand where they are in their life, and it's not my responsibility for people to be self-aware. I can only educate people from my experience and my understanding and my know-how. They've got to figure that stuff out for themselves. But for those of you that are out there that might be dealing with hate, you might be starting a business, you might want to learn an instrument and you're worried about what your friends think, and you're getting negativity in the music industry or in the makeup industry or something else. You might even want to start a cooking channel on YouTube and you're being judged because people are saying, well, I don't think you're a good cook. Look, you've got to cut that stuff out and realize you can either live your life on the opinion of others, or you can live your life in accordance to what makes you happy, because you've got to understand, no one can see what you see. And it's like someone calling you names from a perspective, if that's not you, then you can't take that personally. It's like me crossing the road and someone saying John and calling John. Well, that's not my name, so I'm not going to listen. So you can call me John all you want, it's not my name, because I know my name is Mark. You've got to think about it from that perspective. So just understand where people are coming from and where you need to come from. But the goal here is, if you can come, like Gary Vee talks about it over and over again, if you can come from a perspective, self-awareness and empathy for that person, you'll realize that you're the one that is in control of your own future. You have the strength, and anyone throwing any shade whatsoever or negativity towards what you're trying to achieve in your life is them. That's a position on them, not you. And if you're someone that's done that, I hope you can take some positivity from this video and realize, just reflect and be self-aware enough to where you may have done it. You may have done it to a friend, you may have done it to your partner. Actually just apologize. Take a step, because you will feel so much better about it, and then that may trigger something in you to be self-aware enough to realize that, right, let me get my shit together. Let's stop pushing out this negativity, because that's not going to help me achieve my goals. And I get it, when you're in a bad headspace, sometimes you can't help but be negative. I understand that, I've been there myself before, but we get one life here, and it's time to, life is short. You've got to level up, you've got to get in a good headspace and realize that you're wasting an opportunity that others wish that you could be in. So you can come from that perspective, you'll realize that hate is always wrong, negativity is always wrong, and we need to make being positive as loud as possible, because people love to shout about things that they're not happy with, but when you are happy about something, people tend to be quiet, which we see in restaurants, right? You'll see so many bad reviews of some food, for example. If people get their food late or it's slightly cold, they love to complain. But does that same person, when the food is incredible, do they go up to the chef and compliment them? No. Why? It's because that's how we're wired in society. So think about that, and I hope it kind of provokes or kind of pushes something in your mind to think about, right, I need to go inwards and take control over myself, because I'm in control of my own happiness. Remember, happiness is internal. We don't search for it elsewhere. We don't need validation. We definitely don't need approval from others. Only approval you need is from yourself. So guys and girls, I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's a little bit of a taboo topic, but I thought I would cover it as I get these messages coming regularly on a monthly basis. But that comment recently, it definitely sparked it. And then watching the Gary Vee video prompted it as well, that I definitely want to cover that. And I hope this gives you perspective. Let me know in the comments as well if you have struggled with hate or if you dealt with it. If you're someone who's in a really, really bad headspace, I would love to reach out to you and help you. And if you are someone that's been negative towards any people that I know, or even to myself, I would love to reach out to you as well, because I can only come from that position of understanding and perspective of where you may be in your life, and help you any way that I can. So have an incredible day ahead. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and let me know your #1 takeaway. Thanks guys, see you all soon.